It's not that deep. Everything love, lust, and life.
Sex. We talk about it so you can get better at it. We can all get better at it and maybe feel a bit happier in the process. It's not that deep. Or is it? Hi, welcome to this episode of Sex It's Not That Deep, and this is a Sex Shorts episode about sex bucket list. This is something I came across online, which is in one of the women's groups. It was what's on your bucket list, things you'd like to do sexually, and it was quite an interesting topic to have a look at, so I thought we could sort of chat about it. And most of what came up in the group chat about it was a lot of threesomes, both two guys and a girl, and a lot of women were saying actually more women involved, sometimes two women or even just a three-women threesome.
Yeah.
Which is not what I was expecting to see, actually. There was a lot of unusual sort of threesomes and things like that, which I thought was something that was not sort of particularly out there as a thing.
I guess it's like, where does female porn stand now in terms of, I think a lot of women get after other women, not necessarily because they're bisexual, but just because I think it's sometimes more relatable.
But then you would think it would be more out there as a topic that people would, people would try out. But it seems that I think actually, from my experience, women are really scary to each other.
Yeah.
So actually it's a nice thought, but in practice it's quite a hard thing to achieve.
Yeah, be intimidating and bitchy and...
Well, it's just hard to set up. I mean, so going and approaching a guy is quite a normal thing. We're sort of pre-trained. That's okay. That's fine. That's a normal thing. Doing the same thing to a woman, though, is quite scary because you sort of assuming, are they open to this kind of thing? Are they going to be okay with it? Are they going to laugh in my face? And I think that's something that when me and Andy first started having sort of group sex, I suppose, that involving women was just a lot harder, and scarier, whereas you kind of automatically assume that men will be up for it a bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it came up on the bucket list a lot, and then there was sort of different people who haven't tried certain toys, and everyone was like, yeah, try this one, try that one. The wand came up a lot, which again I've never tried and I would like to try it. It's probably on my bucket list. So what's on your bucket list?
What is on my bucket list? Definitely the use of more toys and things, I think. I love the idea of role play where I can actually convince myself to do it.
Yeah, no, I can't stand role play because I can't act.
I love the idea of it.
I like the idea.
And I used to do acting. That was literally my thing. But when it comes to the bedroom, I am terrible. I just get really cringy about it. But I'd love to do the full costumes, have fucking props. I would want it to look like a castle.
I think I can't stay in character. I think that's my problem. That's
yeah,
what I find. And then you
don't know when to get out of character.
Yeah,
that's where I'm struggling. I'm like, do we carry on? Are we still?
Yeah,
But no, I would love to do that. It's definitely. But in the past, my sex bucket list was like, just get as high numbers as I can. That was my bucket list back then when I was single. Whereas now it doesn't look like that at all. It's more on developing that intimacy, I think, in that relationship.
I don't know. Mine's a bit experiencing because we've experienced other people.
Yeah,
I want to experience as many kind of different things. We ticked something off on our bucket list, which is sex in as many different places is kind of a thing for us, especially public places, but without getting caught. So we had sex in a steam room last week, that's quite, and it was like the most public steam room, but nobody came in, and I think we were just quite lucky. We sort of thought it through so that we wouldn't get caught, but like if someone came in, that we could sort of stop without being too obvious about it. But yeah, that kind of thing is something that I quite like, the sort of public, not public thing.
Is there anywhere that's still I
just wanted to do it in a library, but I don't hang out in libraries anymore
because
I'm not 18
all the time, isn't it? Like in all
I've
the
always liked
high
to try
school
that.
films, there's always people shagging in a library, but I don't know how that would work in real life.
No, because I used to hang out a lot when I was at university. I used to hang out a lot in libraries, and I've never really found somewhere where I thought that's going to work.
Yeah.
So I think realistically, there is an element of reality, isn't there? Your bucket list is the fantasy.
Yeah.
And then the reality of it just sort of isn't quite. And I think that's the thing with sex, isn't it? There's loads of things you like to do, and then you're like, actually, physically. Because there's loads of sort of acrobatic positions I would like to try. Me and Andy, we are chunky people. We aren't really capable. You know, you see those TikToks where there's like people do these acrobatic things.
Yeah.
And they're really fit people do acrobatic things. And then there's like stitched together with chunky people trying to do the same stuff. And it just goes hilariously well. That's kind of like sex positions for us a lot of the time. You know, if we're going to try some kind of Kama Sutra positions, we're going to end up in that kind of TikTok
Some of them are
moment.
so extra as well. I bought the book like last year, and actually looking through it, you're like, what? How would this be sexy? It would just be like Twister.
Yeah. I think, and I've always found 69's a bit like that for me anyway. I don't know. I find it's not a great position. You just end up
Wailing.
Yeah. And I always find that, you end up with someone, you know.
I'm just like, am I suffocating you?
Yeah.
Is this,
firstly that.
am I too far? Am I too, you know.
And you get a bit of hair up your nose or something, and it just never really quite goes as sexually as you think it should go. I always think it's never quite as, well, this is the thing with sex, isn't it? You know, it looks beautiful and sexy on TV, and then you do it and you all stink, and you need a shower at the end of it, and then you come back into the bedroom and it's this mess, and you're like, oh God.
Yeah, the sex smell wafting through.
Yeah.
I'd love to try tantric sex. I think I said this to you before.
I'd like to try that.
Yeah, so just
I'd like to be good at it.
Yeah, that's
the thing. A lot of sex things like that, there's a learning curve.
You training to do tantric
sex.
sex.
And I feel like I'm not committed enough to that kind of thing.
I think I could be. I think it's probably a bit of a stretch for my partner at the current time. I feel like he wouldn't be able to take it seriously and concentrate for like 10 minutes. It would just be too funny.
Isn't it interesting though how your bucket list also changes over time?
Yeah.
I think a lot of early on, I think it was like, let's try and put as many different types of thing inside me as possible, and let's have as many different sort of partners, like you're saying, and let's try that sort of thing. But now I think it's like different experiences, different sensations.
Yeah. For me, it's
textures.
what can I do to deepen that intimacy even more? Because
I just want to try different sort of feelings. I mean, I did for a photo shoot. I did candle wax, which is one, and it's never really done it for me. But then I did it, and it was sort of all over me down there. And apparently, if you use candles, normal candles, you burn yourself. You have to use low temperature candles, and it still burns, but it's not as bad. And I could see the feeling's pretty good.
I like the concept of temperature play, definitely.
I think it has to be incorporated with something else, though. I think that's a lot of things, though. You have this, oh yeah, that's really sexy, but actually it's not sexy when you get to it. I think that's another one of those things where combined they probably work a lot better.
Yeah.
Like the sum is much better than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
And I think that's another one of those things. Temperature play is cool, but it's kind of got to be with something else.
It's like food play as well. Like, I'd love to do more of that, but it's so messy. And you'd be like, hang on, I know you've got an erection, but we need to clean up first, otherwise.
That's the thing, isn't it? Again, it's another one of those things where bucket lists can be really not realistic. And I think that's the great thing. You know, like, your general bucket list, let's go on a holiday that we could never actually realistically afford, or buy a car that we aren't capable of affording and stuff. And that's the same thing with sex. Like, let's do something really messy is another one of those sorts of things, because in reality, you'd always in the back of your mind be like, we're destroying a carpet.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I've got to clean this up afterwards.
Yeah.
But I quite fancy really messy, the sort of splashing stuff. I quite fancy trying that. But yeah, again, I've done it on a photo shoot, and even then it's not my bed, and I'm like, this is a really messy space.
Yeah.
But you don't care that much because it's not yours. But when it actually is yours, I'm pretty certain that just ruins the sex for you.
Well, I feel like we have discussed our sex bucket list together. We'd love to hear about yours. Please feel free to...
The weirder the better as well.
Yeah, let us know what's on your sex bucket list. We'd love to find out more. Thanks for listening to Sex Shorts. Sex is not that deep. And we'll speak to you and see you again soon.
Sex.
It's not that deep.